Welcome to Reptile Gumbo Podcast, episode 89.
You're creeping on up close to 100, man.
Almost there.
So close. Oops.
As you can hear, there's no Robert voice here tonight. It is Katie who's
Woo.
back. Welcome back, Katie.
Only for a week.
And yeah, we'll go over that later.
Uh-oh.
And then Rachel is here filling in for Robert because
Hello.
Robert has to earn a living.
That's right.
He needs to make all that money.
It's okay.
Right.
The better looking half is on.
I love it.
Now, as long as that better looking half can remember talking to the microphone, will be good tonight. Oh,
She's in closer reach on that side of the table.
that can bitch
It's
slap.
not like the driver. You know, you're not in the. It's not. You're not supposed to touch the driver of the car.
I can bitch slap both hands. I'm good.
Oh Lord.
All right. So episode 89, 88, 89. It's 89. If it's not, it's not. Oh, well, people get over it.
Pretty sure it's 89.
Let's see what's going on lately. We did not have a show this weekend. That was nice. So we did not have to go anywhere.
Well, there was a show this
There was
weekend.
one, but
That's true. It was on
We
the
just
other
did
side of
not
the
travel
world.
the 12 hours in the car to get there.
no.
Yes, because it was on the other side of the world, also known as Amarillo, Texas. That was way out there. But there's a show closer to us this weekend, and we get to go back to our home state. We get to go back to Lafayette and eat good food. Looking forward to Prejean's for dinner.
I'm excited.
That flatbread pizza, I'm so getting that again. That was delicious at Prejean's.
They have red beans and rice, and you're going to eat flatbread pizza. What
No,
is
I
wrong with
want
you?
the flatbread pizza and red beans and rice. Let's be very specific.
Victor says we have more episodes of Snakes and the Fat Man. That's because he's lazy.
Oh, whatever.
Lazy. He's not on here early enough to know that I'm talking about him. Not much else has gone on this week. We've been busy with work and life.
Being parents.
I know Robert and I, we went and tried to go road cruising because it was like our last few days of warmish weather. It was cool and then warm. And apparently that was enough to keep the snakes hidden. Not a single snake was on the road. We didn't see a water snake. We normally
Yeah,
see
you
those.
did that while I was at a trunk or treat with kids.
Yeah, that sounded horrible.
Yeah.
That's
We had a good time.
I stayed home by myself and sat on the couch.
That sounds pretty fun too.
Yes.
also we did Halloween just passed.
Yep.
I was let down by our neighborhood. This is our first time like trick-or-treating in a big neighborhood. And almost no one gave out candy. And no one knows the fucking turn your light off rule. If you're not handing out candy,
Turn your light off.
turn your fucking porch light off.
We had approximately 30 something trick or treaters here. I was disappointed. I expected more,
I know. It was a letdown.
but it's okay.
But you know what happens if trick-or-treaters don't show up? There's more candy for me to eat.
Oh my
There
gosh.
is.
Logan has a huge full bag between the little bit he got from the trunk or treat that we went to up at Katie's school
Mhm.
and then doing your neighborhood. And then when he came back from going to Lily's girlfriend's grandmother's house, he had like all these full-size candy bars in his bag.
Yeah, you got talking to the microphone.
Sorry. I was looking at y'all, not up in the
I
mic.
That's why you
know.
got to put the microphone in front of your face.
Oh, let me scoot my
Aimed
It's
at
like
us.
the only thing I'm horrible at.
Well, I didn't want to leave lipstick all over it, but I might.
There
It's
you go.
Robert's microphone. I don't give a shit. Victor said he has a local Repticon next weekend. He'll finally get to meet Phil Wolf. That'd be cool.
That's
Phil's a
fun.
really nice dude. That'd be awesome, man. I mean, it sucks that you have to go to a Repticon, but other than that, it should be a great weekend. Even though it's a Repticon. Did I say that out loud? Good. Also, Robert's not here, so I can say it. The Braves won the World Series, and it feels awesome to live in Houston while the Braves win the World Series. Just
Not gonna lie. Our kid was low-key passive aggressive today because this morning she woke up and the first thing she said was, "Mama, where are your pearls? I have to wear them to school today." And I was like, okay, but you're not allowed to talk about the game. You're not allowed to talk about, I was like, just don't be a butthead about it if you wear them to school. So my brother was like, of course you're going to let her wear the pearls. What is wrong with you?
I my warm up on the board today. I have a warm up for the kids to come in and answer and put in the notebook, and in the corner was the Braves logo.
Did anybody say anything about
yeah.
that?
Yeah.
So we had,
I got asked what it was. I told them it was a symbol of winners.
we are one of our maintenance people today, because on Wednesdays we get to wear jeans and we can either wear a grade level t-shirt or we can wear a sports t-shirt. And she had on a really nice collared polo with the Atlanta Braves A on it. And I was like, ooh, you're gutsy. Like,
I ain't afraid of anything. If I had stuff to wear, I'd wear it. But I grew up a Braves fan, and it felt good to watch the Braves win.
I know my papa would have been happy with that game last night.
I grew up a Braves fan. The Braves won when I was 10, and then the Braves won again when my daughter was 10. So it was kind of cool.
Yeah.
Go
Well,
Braves.
then they have a long time before they have to win again.
There you go.
Go Braves. Anyways, sponsors. Go ahead and do our sponsors, Katie.
Yes, say that before I put another bite of food in my mouth. Good call. So, if you are looking for a high quality PVC rack, look no further than Lone Star Reptile Racks. They offer a variety of sizes for all types of snakes, geckos, rats, and more. You can even order something custom. Shipping is available, or you can plan to pick up at a Herps Reptile show near you. Visit lsreptileracks.com to reach out to Lone Star Reptile Racks and place your order today.
And you're running out of Herbst Reptile shows. Speaking of Herbst Reptile shows, we do have the one this weekend, November 6th and 7th in Lafayette, Louisiana. That's going to be a good one. We haven't been to Louisiana in a while. Not since we moved here. Right? So we've got that. And then there's the Austin, Texas show, December 4th and 5th. If you've been to the Austin, Texas show before, you should definitely come to this one. It's not going to be as cramped. We're in a new venue, a big open venue. Really looking forward to that. We don't have to try and lift things up over a roller hockey rink. So that's going to be great.
That's so much easier.
And then Slidell, Louisiana, December 11th and 12th. And that's it. That's it for 2021. 2021 is done after those three shows. And then we kick off. Well, I won't be there, but Herbst kicks off Oklahoma City in January 15th and 16th. Longview, Texas, January 22nd and 23rd. And then, as usual, my birthday weekend, Conroe, Texas, January 29th and 30th. So there we go. I got that in. Herbst's grand opening for the reptile shop in Bryan, Texas is November 13th.
Yes.
I got it right. November 13th. Come out
Next weekend.
Oh, shit. That is
Yeah,
next weekend.
Next weekend.
Next weekend. Not this weekend, but next weekend.
Mhm.
Come out there. We will, I'll probably bring all of our podcast stuff. We may talk to some people while we're out there. I
That's
know
a good plan.
Chris from Snakes of the Fat Man. He's coming down. He'll be there. I think Miri said she was going to come down to it at one point.
She did mention something about it, but I haven't checked in with her or anything.
And then, I mean, I don't know where everybody's going to fit. I've been in there. It's an amazing shop, but it's not going to fit the amount of people that plan on being there.
Oh, we're just going to have to come and go. Like, there's no way to stay everybody all day.
Oh, I'm staying all day. I'm going to hang out with the in the tortoise room. Or
That's actually my spot. I'm doing presentations on tortoises.
okay, then I'm going to fondle chinchillas all day.
You have fun with that.
I don't want to play.
I will probably
could go play with Grant.
sneeze all day.
I don't want to play with Grant either. Those are mammals. I got to find a non-mammal place.
You can hang out in the tortoise room with me. It'll be okay.
That's true. Maybe I'll just hang out in the bathroom.
I mean, that's kind of weird, but
The bathroom last time I was there had fish tanks in it for
It did have a fish
what?
tank in it.
I haven't
Yeah.
been
no, it
yet.
wasn't for fish. It was for the thing you like, the little stupid
Axolotls?
axolotls.
Axolotls, yeah.
That's cool.
There was a tank in there, but I didn't see
No,
anything in
there
it.
weren't any in there. And
Okay.
There weren't any in there. But I was told that those axolotls were going to be in there.
I think they're picking them up this weekend.
Silly axolotls. Oh, we did go to a pet store this weekend. We went and checked out Bay Area Exotics.
They're the cutest guinea pig, but I don't have time for a
We're
guinea
not
pig.
getting a fucking guinea pig.
It was so like I have a picture of him on my phone.
Aw.
He was so cute. I just don't have time for a guinea pig.
Yeah, so we got to go. That was a nice pet store. It's in
LaPorte. right?
LaPorte. I knew it was with a P, and I was like,
I could see your face. You're like, I'm trying to think of where I drove this weekend.
I wanted to say Point, but I was like, it was not Point. It was LaPorte.
They were
Texas.
right down the road from a cute little vinyl store.
Oh,
That's true. It was a little
We found some fun stuff.
not that that's related to this at all.
It's not, but
I went there to go get pinky mice, and all of my sand boas that were not eating did eat. I mean, they ate live, which is the first time I've actually fed live to any baby snakes. But hopefully they will be eating frozen in the near future. Victor said guinea pigs smell. Yes, they do, Victor. Yes.
I'm aware.
Yes, they do. I mean, they're great. We bred them for a while. But damn, they shit and piss a lot.
What I really want is one for my classroom. The problem is the air gets bumped up to 80 over the weekends. So the guinea pig would have to come home with me over the weekends, which means I'm going to have two setups. So I would need one cage and setup that stayed at school, one cage and setup that stayed at home, and a travel cage for it to go back and forth. One of the 5th grade teachers has a hamster, and that's what she does. I don't want to put out that much money for a class pet.
No, that sounds horrible.
Like I just like all my reptiles are fine up there over the weekend. I'm gonna watch as it starts to get colder. Like I might put heat on my frog depending on how cold it gets in the building. But yeah, everything else like the leopard gecko has its heat, bearded dragon has its heat. Nobody's getting overheated. So
Oh, also, Next week we will be on. We're trying not to. We're gonna be on Wednesday again. Katie, do you want to? She just put food in her mouth. I was gonna have her explain why, because I tried to pull up the things so we could pick our winner for this giveaway. But Katie, go explain.
Our daughter's softball games are normally on Thursday, and this Thursday, tomorrow, is supposed to be her last one. We got rained out last week, and so that makeup game is going to be on Tuesday. So
yeah, kids ruin everything.
I told James I could go to the game, but he wants to be a good dad and go to her softball game. So
kids ruin everything.
And here I thought we were done having to rearrange for kids.
I know.
Kids. Yes, but hopefully that will be the last Wednesday, and we'll be back when we're doing Tuesdays again. Sorry, I'm trying to do two things at one time, and everybody else just staring at me while
Yeah, you don't multitask well, babe.
I do, but no one else chimes in while I try to do it. So we have to do our giveaway. We are giving away the.
I don't want to talk about it because we can't win it.
I know. We had our Hottoberfest. Hottoberfest is over, unfortunately. But we're giving away our Venom Life mandala that none of us could win, and we're all very upset about it. And $50 to Venom Life website.
Which I'm also upset about.
I know, right?
Yeah, none of us get to have that stuff.
I mean, I've got my really nice Venom Life jacket on tonight because I was a little chilly. But
So I'm hit the button for a winner. Let's see who wins it. Oh, sweet. All right, Ryan Cox.
Oh, how exciting.
I will have to let Ryan Cox know. I know he's probably not listening right now, but I will message Ryan Cox later. If anybody is listening, just shoot him a message. Tell him he won.
That's cool.
That is awesome. So he'll enjoy that. I'm really pissed off that it's not going to be on my wall.
I'm glad that it's going to someone that will really appreciate it too.
I do have my calendar that Robert got me, and I've got my awesome sign from Focus Cube that I'm going to keep pointing out every time. But
that's awesome.
that's all I got. I don't have an awesome Venom Life mandala to put on my wall.
We're supposed to.
I'm gonna
wait. Never mind.
We're gonna get there.
Okay.
All right.
I just realized that's our guest. I think
No, wait.
from the question from
Yes.
Travis. Okay,
Yes. Just.
that's why I stopped.
Anyways.
Gosh.
Also, Wiregrass Exotics. If you're in Southeast Alabama or Georgia or Florida, definitely go over and visit the Ruas at Wiregrass Exotics in Ozark, Alabama. Amazing pet store, amazing reptile store. They got hots and all sorts of stuff. Go visit them. Say hi to the Ruas. They're great people. Yeah, I think we got all of our sponsors in. We're good. Oh, also, we don't have a giveaway yet for this month. We're in the process of figuring that out.
I take it you didn't like my idea.
It was all right, but I mean, it doesn't really add up. It doesn't measure up to the other stuff that we've given away.
Well, I didn't say it had to measure up to
I
the
do.
other stuff.
So we had a giveaway sponsor, and
Asshole.
and we'll talk about our giveaway sponsor. Something horrible that we've talked. I feel like we're talking about this for somebody like every month. This is happening to somebody lately.
I do agree with that statement 100%. Yeah.
Our buddy Tracy and Chris, they do all the herp shows. They do the shirts. They unfortunately had a house fire yesterday, and their daughter, who is
12.
12, I say 12, and I want to say, who is 12, saw it and had the
wherewithal.
Mental capacity.
yeah, to grab the Quadamundee, because they have a Quadamundee,
The dogs,
the bird,
The birds.
and herself, and get out of the house
and call 911
and call 911 before it
because she's homeschooled. So
before it all went up in fire. So they had a rack spark, unfortunately, and that's something that everybody needs to worry about. It is a thing, and that's not. I mean, that's just any electrical thing. So if you've got bulbs, racks, ceramic heat emitters, whatever it is a risk we run as reptile keepers, and unfortunately, it's something lately that it's happened way too much to people, and especially as we get into winter, heaters are clicking on more than they used to. So it's
but this situation, it definitely makes me think. As adults, we know what to do.
Yes,
You need to make sure that everyone in your house,
that is true.
if you have parents that live with you, you need to let them know if this happens, this is what you need to grab and you need to go. And I mean, she's 12.
Yeah.
And
Man, that was amazing.
I don't know many 12-year-olds that could, when you see that happen, stay calm enough to make that happen.
Yeah.
And take care of what she took care of.
So I will be posting. There is a fundraiser thing for them. I will be posting it over on our Facebook page tonight after the show. But if you listen to this, please give a little bit. Anything will help. It's a rough situation. And again, I feel like we're doing it every month, but it is what it is. We know a lot of folks, and a lot of folks have these.
Yep.
This is going to happen.
And this is what we do. we help out.
So, on a brighter note, let's go ahead and get to our guest. Our guest tonight is Jason Brumley from Brumley Reptile Company, or Co. I kept putting Co on everything because that's how he has it funded, how it has it done. But how's it going, Jason?
It's going well. Thanks for having me on. How are you guys doing tonight?
We're here.
It's like it's going.
I'm really tired. I got hailed on today. Like legit hail from the sky.
All hail. Look, I even put his face up. For anybody that's watching the podcast, you can see Jason's face. He's calling in on the phone because he lives out in the middle of bumfuck nowhere, Texas.
It sounds nice.
And they don't have internet out there.
Okay, well, I don't know about that part.
Correct.
But
I was gonna say, where do you live where their internet is not that good?
Bumfuck, Texas.
That's not the name.
Like,
of it.
do
I am
you just-
outside of Palestine, Texas.
Oh, okay.
so do you
And
just not have
I am-
internet?
Oh, it's just not good.
Oh, gotcha.
I have DSL, and it's terrible.
I haven't met
It
somebody
runs over 100-year-old copper, so it doesn't do very well.
I haven't met somebody with DSL
Fascinating.
internet in so long.
That was not me.
That was me. We're good. What?
You always fuss at us.
Well, I'm not normally on my phone. It's Jason's fault. Blame him.
Oh,
So sad, James.
But we know Jason because he does the herb shows with us, and he's been a long time listener to the podcast, which is awesome too. But Jason is our first green tree person on here.
can I say it? Please
What?
let me say it.
What?
Long time listener, first time caller. Oh
I kind of wish you would have been here tonight now.
my gosh.
I apologize to anybody that had to hear that.
Sorry.
But anyways, back to our guest. He's the first green tree person we've had on here. So he does silly little snakes on sticks.
Okay, so do not make fun of me, or you can, because a lot of people do. But this
I
is
will.
why I'm on the podcast. And there are going to be people that listen to this and are going to go, "Oh my god!" And I'm sure we're going to get a negative review for this.
Cool. Go.
Okay, so Jason, green tree pythons.
Oh God, where are you
Mhm.
going?
They're the ones that are like red and yellow when they're babies and then turn green when they're bigger.
That is correct.
Okay, cool. Just making sure I
one
had the
of
right
ones-
snake.
They're one of the ones that do that.
I just had to make sure I had the right snake. Okay, we're good.
Emeralds also change color.
See, I want them to stay red
I do too.
or stay yellow.
That's what green tree python people are doing. They're breeding mutts together to make them more red and yellow.
That's cool.
But they call them
And-
what's the fancy term y'all use? Because y'all don't use mutts. Designer.
Designer.
Yeah,
Ooh,
does-
fancy.
Designer.
Which means a
snake.
bigger price tag.
It sure as hell does. The one that he's holding in that picture does.
Yeah, it very much does. Not so much working on holding the red, but we do have some high yellow stuff, and of course there's
The blue
a
stuff.
lot of high black and blue. So, and I like all three. So I have a little bit of each, and yeah, just some fun stuff. But yeah, I do happen to be a pretty big fan of green snake on a stick. They're super easy, really, once you set them up right. And
They're super
so
easy
fun to
now.
photograph.
They have not always been super easy though. There's a history of a lot of green tree pythons dying, right?
Absolutely. Nowadays, if you are starting with good captive born and bred stock and set them up properly from the get-go, they are a very, very easy snake to take care of. However, they can be unforgiving, so you do have to set them up properly. That's the only thing. As long as you're keeping them properly, they're a very easy snake to take care of.
Are they easily handleable, or is it more of a look at it and it's a pretty snake? Or does it depend on the
prefer
person?
More, I prefer more of a hands-off approach, and I use like removable perches. So if I have to service the cage, I just take the whole perch out with the animal on it, and then set the perch aside. Now that being said, like all of my animals are pretty docile. Once you turn their food response off, I can easily handle them if I need to. I just try not to because it does cause stress in them, and just they tolerate it, but barely.
Well, because they're historically an ill-tempered snake, or at least said to be an ill-tempered snake. But that's a lot of that is imports, and those imports are obviously not going to be like, "Hey, hold me."
I don't think you know
Yeah, I
snakes,
think a lot of that historically had to do with absolutely those animals being imported. They weren't having the best beginning of life and coming over and being, startled from all of that. Nowadays, like I said, of course, there's always exceptions to the rule. Every once in a while, you'll get one that's an absolute psychopath, but that goes with pretty much anything. So, but the majority of them, like I said, mine are all pretty tame. They've got good food responses. You don't go sticking your hand, waving your hand around in the middle of the night in the cage.
Yeah, that's another one.
You want to bleed.
They're a completely different snake at night versus day.
Right. Yeah, they're definitely a hands-off snake at night. At least in my opinion. You don't go in the cage once the lights are out. Yeah,
that's what I've heard. I've heard that because they're nocturnal hunters, which explains the heat pits, the big old heat pits on their face. And they, how many times do you see them do like the when they wiggle their tail, the caudal luring?
Oh, they like my animals. They'll actively caudal lure when I walk in the room, even in the middle of the day. Chondros are always hungry, and they like to play like you're starving them. So they'll beg for food every day, pretty much.
Now they're definitely one that's for people that are used to like boas or like ball pythons, when they're born, you're like, all right, let's sex it and then sell it. That's not how green trees work.
No, you would ruin a snake trying, or at least you risk kinking the animal pretty severely by doing it. They're so delicate when they're babies, and they're absolutely tiny. People don't realize how small they are when they're hatched. So yeah, you're looking, unless you do genetic sex determination, which you have to have quite a bit of genetic information in order to do that. You're looking a minimum of a year to a year and a half before you can sex them, because you want them to be up to a certain size, really, and then you can probe them. You never want to, pop or try to expose the henpeas on one, because you'll just break them.
That's crazy.
That's a lot of commitment to a breed of snakes.
It's not a breed.
Well, like a species. Whatever.
No, it's not whatever.
You knew what I meant.
Dogs are a breed.
Why aren't snakes a breed then?
Breeds are one species, but different versions of that species. Like dogs, all dogs are the same species.
And
we breed them to be a certain way. But like green tree is a species. A ball python is a species.
Okay, that makes sense.
You see it on Facebook all the time. What breed is my? It's not a breed. It's a reptile.
See, that's why I'm here.
So how long are you normally holding on to babies before you sell them? Are you waiting that year and a half, or are you selling them unsexed?
I'll typically let go of a couple to, experienced keepers. Typically they're at least 6 months old before I'll even think about doing that. And I might release one or two to, like I said, experienced keepers. But most of the time, yeah, I'm holding on to the majority of the clutch for about a year to a year and a half. Because also you kind of want to have an idea of what direction they're going in as far as color change and things like that. So you tend to hold on to them a little longer if you have the space and the time to dedicate to it.
Have you done that whole sell one and then like 2 years later hate yourself when you see what it looks like?
Absolutely.
I feel like that comes with the territory.
Yeah.
I feel like that's a given. But
with those, it is totally crazy because like you've got some of these ones that are insanely different, like the sickness and all those guys. That's another thing. Green trees have names. Like there's like individuals with names, and then you want it related to that. Whereas like there's no fucking way to do that with ball pythons or boas. Like no one knows. You can somewhat give the name of the breeder, but no one usually knows what snake it came from. But like in green trees, that's the lineage is the name of that snake. So
some people are very good at that. I, however, lack all creativity when it comes to that. So mine get ID numbers, and that's about it.
There we go.
You gotta go talk to Bill. Bill is really good at that.
Bill who?
Stiegel.
Oh, I don't know.
My one animal from him is the only animal in my collection with a name, and that's just because it's a play off of his sibling,
Which one? What's the name of yours?
the Sniffles.
That's funny.
Oh, nice. Has it turned black?
Oh no, he's solid green.
Oh, what an asshole.
Well, how long do they change colors before they settle into their color?
Really depends. They can start anywhere from a couple of months old. I've had some start as early as like 4 months
Oh, damn.
old.
Mm-hmm.
And usually it's closer to 8 to 12 months before they really start changing, or at least in my small sample size. But then I know like Beox in particular, which is a locality of green tree pythons, and those can take 4 or 5 years to fully change. They
Wow.
just change super slow. So sometimes you never really know. They kind of continue changing, but it seems like after 2 years or so, you kind of have a good direction idea of where they're going to end up.
So I always find it funny. So we talked about earlier about them being designer snakes, because in the hobby, you've got so many people in certain different species of snake that are locale, and they're very heavy on like, you can only breed this locale to this locale. And I've just got to imagine green tree guys sit back and laugh when they hear people freak out about that. Because yes, there's locale green trees, but y'all are just breeding them to shit at this point. Like, don't get me wrong, there's some out there that are like, I will only breed to this. But to get the crazy shit, those are definitely mutts, right?
A lot of them, yeah. I mean, a lot of that stems back to, way back when these guys started breeding that stuff. They were just getting what they could get.
Yeah.
They didn't have locality data. It was, a box of green snakes. If they weren't broken down into the different subspecies and all of that yet, so they didn't know. Yeah, you could look at them like a Beox and tell the difference between an Aru and a Beox, but it's still, they were close enough, and things just got bred together, and there definitely is hybrid. Some of the phenomenal stuff has got to be caused from the hybridization.
Yeah. I've always been a fan of emerald tree boas. Green trees are nice, but I just like the look of like the big head on emerald. But at some point, I'm going to have a green snake on a stick, but it'll probably be an emerald.
I was like, I want one too.
But you work with not just the green trees, though. You have one of the other species that I think is really cool. And every time I see one, I can't fathom the idea of why it's not a bigger snake in the hobby. And it makes no sense. But you breed Angolan pythons.
I do as well.
I don't get it.
And I agree with you. They're super awesome. They do need to be more in the hobby, but there's still only a handful of people that are breeding them regularly, and they're just, I guess, because there's not morphs or whatnot, that they're not super popular. But it's such a cool snake because, I mean, people relate them closely to ball pythons because there are some similarities, but really they're like dwarf rock pythons, and minus the bad attitude.
Without the attitude
with a rock python. So like you get this super personable, really inquisitive snake that gets fairly impressive, because the full size Angolan can be 6 to 7 foot. And pretty girthy. They get pretty big enough to be impressive, but small enough to stay manageable.
And they don't ball up. Like, that's, everybody always sees them because the head is very ball python like, but they are not a ball up, sit still snake.
Absolutely not. Like mine, when you open their cages, like when you come in the room, they look at you, and if you come over and open the glass, they're actively going to crawl out and be like, hey, what's going on? They're going to check you out. They'll crawl out, and they'll explore the room, or if you let them, or they're very inquisitive. They want to be interactive.
Yeah, Every time I see one, and you only ever see like one or two on a table, but
They're really pretty.
oh, they're really pretty. They're bumpy, which is one thing that people love.
Oh,
They're a bumpy snake.
did not know that.
Yeah, so like that's one thing. It's like holding a snake that's covered in braille, and they're way more colorful than a ball python. I mean, I know that there's all the morphs, but I'm talking just like in general. They are a very colorful snake,
Oh yeah, I'm looking
And,
through some pictures of some.
and they're fairly docile. Like they're a decent sized docile snake, but unfortunately, they don't come in 70 million Skittles colors, so no one seems to want to have them. Now, breeding wise, compared to ball pythons, or how different are they breeding wise? Is that one of the challenges that's keeping them from being more prevalent in the hobby?
Now they take longer to mature, so you're going to be looking probably 5 years old on a female before she's, at least in my small sample size thus far. I tried my female at 4 and she gave me slugs. Now I don't know if that was because I was using a 3-year-old male, or if it was because he was too young, or if it was because she was too young. But I tried her again the following year, and I finally got a successful clutch. So I have a second female that's coming on this year. She's 5, so I'm hoping to kind of get to where I can produce them in rhythm. So we'll see. Like I said, I've only had the one clutch so far, so my sample size is really small. But pretty much, I treated them very similar to how I would do ball pythons, with pretty much everything. Slight cool down for the males. Introduce them. I try to pair animals when I see females showing signs, goal wrapping, cool seeking, and just pair them randomly and see what happens.
I think the popularity will pick up because, especially with like all of the odds and ends snakes that are starting to pick up, like Doomrill's boa is picking up and being more popular, and a lot of your other like rainbow boas have become more popular because I think people are starting to not get away from ball pythons, but they're trying to get something that's not a ball python. So I think that Angolans will have that chance. There's got to be more people that have them available for people to buy, and once that happens, I think they'll take off. But
Well, I know I got my doom rolls, and not a lot of people were asking for them. And then before I had gotten all that I have now, it just they blew up.
yeah, that was also partially thanks to Nerd. Nerd told everybody they were super expensive snakes and everyone had to have them, and everybody's like, "Oh, I really have to have them." And then all of a sudden, everybody realized they're not that super expensive, and they've gone down, thankfully.
Yeah, no, they're not that.
Because they had them at like $1,000 at one point, which
That's where I got my biggest, but she's 8 foot,
But that's a
35
full-grown
pounds.
female,
She's
that's
full
different.
grown, yeah.
they were selling babies close to $1,000.
Nah.
What's an Angolan goes for? What, about 6 now?
No, they're up now.
Oh, good.
They're kind of in the same boat. You're looking about $1,000.
See, the difference is I feel there's more Doomrill's boas out there to buy than there are Angolan pythons out there to buy.
I went from 1 to 6, so
Yeah, I mean, I can find a Doomrill's. Like, I don't see Angolans that often. I mean, I saw 2 at Conroe, but they were on Jason's table.
yeah.
That was the only 2.
Now I'm gonna be
Yeah,
like
and I am
looking.
all sold out.
Yeah, I imagine they don't stay around long for that fact. But what else? So what else? You've got the green trees. You got them, but you also got ball pythons.
I do have ball pythons.
I saw a picture of spotted python.
I also I have Brettles pythons.
See, that's an awesome python. I have one. I love those.
Yeah, I have a pair of Brettles, which I'm gonna attempt to try to breed this season. So
Are you gonna cool them down?
hopefully that all goes well. Oh yeah, I cooled them down last year, and I'm gonna try it again. But I'm gonna actually try to pairing them this year, provided we don't have another Texas ice apocalypse.
For them, the freeze may work.
We don't need that again.
True.
They're one of those weird things that have that huge drop from their normal temperature when they go like they're not as bad as like rubber boas, but I know Brettles can go pretty bad, pretty low.
Yeah, my room that I keep them in the winter, it probably gets low to mid 50s.
Yeah. Do you give them heat during the day and then just only cool them off at night?
Yeah.
Or?
Yeah, they have heat panels, so yeah, it gets back up to normal temperature during the day, so they'll get their, whatever 82 hot spot, and then at night it just shuts off. They get whatever the room is.
They're such a bulletproof snake.
They're really cool. And a lot of people talk about, my male is really docile. My female, she's just not trustworthy. She's one of those, she'll kind of lull you into that sense of calmness. She'll come out, she'll be really calm. And then about 2 minutes into it, she'll get that death grip on you. And then she'll turn around and look at you. And you just know it's coming.
And full grown, that's a lot of snake. Like, you don't want a full grown one turning on you.
How big are they?
She's probably 7 foot.
Oh, wow.
She's not full grown, but she's a big girl, so she can be a little fun. She doesn't get too much handling time. We just have that understanding.
That's another one I think should be more prevalent. They're a very pretty color naturally. They're very pretty, like rust and brick red. They get a pretty decent size. They're not massive like I say massive coastal. They're about coastal carpet python size, but they're not like retic or berm. I mean, they're a good sized python, and they're not small like a ball python. You pretty much can't mess them up on temperature because they can survive in such a wide range. I mean, obviously you got to get on heat at some point, but like they're gonna be fine. Like during that winter, I'm sure anybody that had Brettles, they were okay. So it's just they're such a bulletproof snake that you would think more people would have those as a beginner. Like this would be a great beginner snake because to me it fits all the criteria. I mean, it does get big, but it's big for a like carpet python, so it's not really a thick-bodied snake. But
yeah, there's definitely a big misconception when people like with Morelia in general, when you start talking about length and comparing that to the size of the snake, it's just like, okay, a coastal carpet like a Brisbane coastal may get 9-10 foot, but it's no bigger than your wrist. It's a manageable snake, and that same snake will still coil up in a planter size coil, less than a foot. It's like they're not giants. It's not like the same thing as when you're comparing it to a berm.
Yeah, there's a difference between an 8-foot boa constrictor and an 8-foot Brettles python. They're not the same 8 feet.
Massive. It's a massive difference.
So is it 8 feet more like my Blue Beauty?
It's gonna be a little thicker than your Blue Beauty, but yeah,
okay.
It's a decent. Like you've seen my 7-foot jungle carpet in there. That black one, once coiled up, doesn't look 7 foot.
No,
it's the same thing for a Brettles.
I love her so much. I really do. Like I love the jungle carpet that we have.
Yeah, that dirty, ugly jungle
She's
carpet.
just such a chill snake, though.
She is a good snake.
She's impressive. She's got a good size on her.
Oh, yeah.
I think at least. So
yeah, she's about 7 foot.
I
She's
like
over
her.
7 foot when she's stretched out. She's over 7 foot. But I think Brettles are awesome. So you got Brettles, you got the jungles, you got ball pythons, you got not jungles, you got I was gonna say green trees. I don't know why I said jungles. It's wrong Morelia. It's not even Morelia anymore, right? Green trees are green trees still Morelia?
Yeah, they're still
okay.
They're still
I
Morelia.
don't know that.
They're just they've been split into Viridis and Azuria, so it's 2 different species, and then Azuria has I think 3 different subspecies underneath it. So yeah, that's a whole mess. But I try not to dwell on that too much. Just they're green snakes on sticks.
Green snakes on sticks. Just appreciate your green snakes on sticks.
Yeah. I also keep, I have a couple other carpet species. I keep Darwins, and I have several different coastals.
Yeah, you can't be friends with Michael Pinnell and not have coastals.
I was just fixing to say, yeah, with Michael Pinnell being so close, I have all the coastals as well. So
yeah, it's Michael. It's Michael's fault.
Sharing tables with him, that's a downfall. I always end up just giving him money and taking his stuff home with me. So.
I remember the first time I met Michael. We talked about it when we had him on at Conroe. We had him on for a little short thing. Before I ever met Michael, I listened to Morelia Python Radio, who just had their 10-year anniversary episode last week. And you always hear them say impins. They always refer to the type of coastal python as impins. And everybody knows what you're talking about when you say it. And then you realize that it stands for Michael Pinnell, and that he's just this weird dude down in Texas who's not that impressive. Like to me.
Oh, shut your face.
no,
He's awesome.
when you
I was
talk
going to
to
say,
him-
he is one of my hands down favorite
It's
people.
not-
Yes.
I love him, but when you hear all this, you assume he's going to be a much bigger. But like, he's a really down to earth. Like,
I'll be honest.
Easy.
When I think of people that have things named after them, I think that they're going to be very snooty, and I think that they're going to be very full of themselves, or they're going to be hoity-toity. And Michael is none of that.
you will not talk about
Not
yourself
all.
unless you
No.
make him. So
Yeah, he gets kind of embarrassed because I always play him up at the table. I'll be telling people, I'm like, this is like the guy when it comes to coastal. You're
I
thinking
love
about
it.
coastal. This is the man.
which is funny. The one thing I own from Michael is a house snake.
That is who you got your house snake
that
from.
is one thing I own from
I love it.
Michael
I was
Fennell.
gonna say Logan bought a white-sided rat snake from him.
That's so
Yep,
funny.
yep.
We didn't all fall for his trick and buy coastal carpet pythons like Jason did. Oh,
Yeah, I'm just a sucker for those brown dirt snakes.
do you remember when the rumors were coastals would get 12-foot coastal carpets get 12-foot long, but no one could ever really show you a 12-foot long coastal?
Except for the people in Australia that have them living in their carport.
Except for the ones
They
that are
seem
eating
to find
wallabies
them.
in the wild. But like, you would think in captivity, as much as we feed the shit out of stuff, there would just be a ton of 12-foot coastal carpet pythons. But I'm pretty sure they
Yeah,
just all
well,
died.
Yeah, well, that's just the thing. The ones that get fed that rat diet like that, yeah, they're all obese and die. They're full of cancer and fat.
Well, it's because you
They
always see
died at like 4 years old, and
and everybody
8
sees
foot.
the pictures that come out of Australia of them eating a wallaby. I'm like, yeah, they ate that wallaby, but then they won't eat again for like 5 months. They didn't eat that wallaby
Yeah.
and then get fed that wallaby again next week.
mm-mm.
So, but I just remember thinking when growing up, I was like, man, I want a coastal. They get like 12-foot long, and then I'm like, I've never fucking seen a 12-foot long one, not once.
And that one in the wild in Australia is probably 30.
Yeah. It took 30 years to get that size. So that's another thing. I imagine green trees don't do well being obese.
They don't, at least from what I understand. I tend to keep mine really small, or more towards the small side. I was kind of fortunate enough coming up that some of the data, from Daniel Natouche and some of those guys was available, and you just, if you read about these things and what they were finding in the wild, they're not finding these giant monstrosities out in the wild. They're finding small 600-700 gram animals that are long and lean.
Yeah, they're a much smaller
giant.
snake than most people think when they think green. People think python, green tree python, they think python, they're thinking that it's a full-grown female is 6 foot, but like you look at them, they're a very small snake when done right.
Do you mean
Mhm.
small in like girth or small as in length?
Yes.
Both.
Both.
Okay.
Yeah. I mean, how big is your biggest female?
I haven't weighed her in a long time, but I would say she might be at 1,000 grams. And I would say girth wise, she's $50 maybe
Yeah, that's
at her
Yeah.
widest point, but she's more, she's kind of got like a tree snake, so she's a little bit leaner, so it's elongated,
yeah.
not perfectly round like a fat slug.
Which is what I think all these people that pick up these wild caught imports off tables at a show and they become green tree python owners overnight are expected to go home and slam that thing full of food and have a big snake, and they wonder why it dies in a year or two.
Yeah, green tree python, just in general, don't do well with giant meals.
Yeah, that was one thing I know, that it's small meals, and when because like I said, there were you hear stories of green trees in like the 90s, like when there a lot of fucking green trees died in the process of learning how to feed them, how to house them, and how to breed them. But But like, yeah, you can't feed them. It's not like when you're feeding like your carpet python. You can go feed your carpet python a jumbo rat and leave a huge lump, and that thing will still be fine. Green trees, like if they eat something, they can regurgitate, and then they regurgitate. You're like, oh shit, this thing's gonna die now.
They're that sensitive.
They used to be. I don't know if they are now.
Yeah, I don't have those kind of problems anymore. You know, I've never had one actually regurg on me, but
That's awesome.
like I said, of course, I'm using all captive bred stock and stuff like that. So, but you know, yeah, a lot of problems that you have like with overfeeding is you'll get things like prolapses where they blow out their rear end and it won't come back, and that'll kill them in the long run if you don't get that put back in. And there's just they can be problematic, but like I said, if you're starting with good stock from reliable source, now if you're going to get into green tree pythons, your best thing you can do is go make friends with a breeder, get in with them, and get in line for good captive stock and somebody that can mentor you along the way. That's like the number one ticket for success with green trees. Just start with a good mentor, and you know.
Well, that's one thing I can say
the right way.
For Morelia, whether it's green trees or carpets, that's a fairly close-knit community. At least as far as established breeders go, everyone really knows who to go to in that community, who to talk to. And I think a lot of that you can really thank NPR. I mean, NPR made that community a lot closer. But you always hear about green trees because why my brain just went blank.
I got nothing.
Medusa podcast.
Dominique.
She talks about it all the time.
Oh.
She got into green trees, and then as soon as she got her green tree, you know, everyone kind of joins together. And she knows everybody, and everybody talks to each other.
That's cool.
That does not happen in like ball pythons. That is not a close knit group. That is a very there are a bunch of small close knit groups, but as a whole, it is not a close knit group.
No,
it's a I hate you from across the country group.
Right. Yeah. Ball python groups are more cliquey. You've got different crews or different segments of that. But yeah, the Morelia community is a really strong community within the reptile community. Things like Carpet Fest have helped bring all of that together, which that goes back to the NPR guys and the stuff that they're doing to really bring everybody together, which hats off to those guys for 10 years and everything that they've achieved.
Oh yeah, I mean they definitely have pushed carpet pythons more in the hobby than if their podcast never existed. They definitely have done a ton. And we went to a Carpet Fest before everything shut down. We could no longer have fun again.
We did. That was a great trip.
It was awesome.
Sounds like fun.
It really was.
Now they should have one again here in Texas and not try and call it Green Tree Fest or whatever they try to do.
I don't know, but we don't have a cool house on the water if we stay here.
That's true. We could stay at a cool house in Florida.
That was an awesome Airbnb.
We will keep you posted. It's I'm hoping that one gets pulled off here in 2022.
That'll be fun.
So, I mean, if someone just had a house on a bunch of property in the middle of nowhere, they could have it there, I guess.
I don't own it yet. Sorry.
It may or may not happen out there because I am, as you said earlier, way the hell out in the middle of nowhere that no one wants to drive to where I'm at. So, but we may have
get over it.
Location up in Dallas where we've kind of held it in the past, but we'll see. Hopefully that'll come up, and of course we'll share all those.
That'd be cool. I would love to do that. That's one thing I love about the herp shows is that it's a weekend of getting together and hanging out. As much as it's going there to sell stuff, it's a chance to socialize, which is what I really enjoy doing.
Absolutely.
Which is why I've enjoyed not having animals to sell lately. I mean, it would be nice to have animals to sell, make money, but not having animals means I can just go around like bother you and Michael Pinnell at your table, and then go bother somebody else at their table, and then buy a house snake for no fucking reason.
I'm gonna make you go work the register.
No, I'm good.
That's where I'll be all weekend.
I can always put him to work.
No, I'm good. So, what are you doing? Oh, it's like you're doing something. Okay.
I'm listening and participating, but I'm also writing lesson plans.
Well, I wanted to pull up. So I asked Jason what question you wanted to ask this week to our listeners. So I wanted to go ahead and pull up
the
question. We got some good ones. I liked it. If my computer will, I need a new computer.
This question, we had a bajillion answers very quickly to this question.
So I'm not even gonna lie. I've hardly been on Facebook at all this week. I don't even know what the question is.
I didn't look at it, but I got alerts every time somebody would post a response. So I know we got a lot of responses.
So the question was, with breeding season right around the corner, let us know what you are excited about producing or picking up this season. And so let's read them. We'll read through Ryan Cox. That's our winner of tonight's giveaway. Ryan said, I'm excited to try anything for the first time. Come on carpets and Mexican hognose snakes.
Oh, that's fun.
That could be cool.
I think ours is going to be hog noses and corn snakes and maybe even our Mexican black king snake. I think our female might be big enough.
Hope they don't eat each other.
I'm not going to let that happen. I will stick my hand in there and keep them apart.
She's ready to take one for the team.
Our buddy Drew Schultz over at the Learning Zoo said he just put his jungle carpets together again, but I'm going to be trying to breed them outside this year with a heated nest box. Also crossing fingers that redfoots will start laying fertile eggs this year, which is cool. But outbreeding jungles outside in a heated nest box.
That sounds fun. Keep us updated on that.
We don't have
I'm curious.
Ice-ageddon like we did this year.
Well, obviously, pull them back in.
We talked about that today in class.
Ice.
We talked about the ice storm. We read a book about living in extreme places, and
Texas is extreme.
Well,
apparently
that is true. But we talked about, anyways, it has nothing to do with the podcast. Moving on.
Jason, would you breed your jungles outside, your carpets outside?
I don't know, especially after last year, having those couple of days where it was like -6 on my back porch. I don't know if that'd work real well.
What is a pro to breeding them outside? Like pros and cons. Obviously, cons would be temperature and not being able to control it. But what would be the point? Is it more natural?
It's more natural.
Yeah.
I mean, it really works for folks in like South Florida more than it does in Central Texas, North Texas.
Yeah, I could see some of the maybe Freddles or Brisbane Coastals or some of those hardier, more cold tolerant species, maybe being able to pull it off.
Some of the more southern
Conroe, where he's at, is you guys are a little further south than I am.
Yeah,
which 2 hours south here makes a big difference.
It does.
But I maybe pull it off. I don't know that I would have the guts to try it.
It's a scary thing.
Yeah, I can only imagine. My first year putting my Brettles in the office or out for winter, freaked me out getting them down into the 60s.
Yeah, I'm not excited about that coming up again.
Oh, rubber boa.
Yeah, I'm not excited about that.
Thanksgiving, rubber boas go on ice.
God bless it.
Rubber boas on ice.
At least you've done it now, so it's not quite as foreign.
Yeah, no, it's still going to be horrible, and he's still going to talk about it nonstop.
It won't be as bad now. The first year was horrifying.
I have to cool down my Doomerals, and I'm like scared to cool down anything because I haven't ever cooled down anything before.
Yeah, but you're not cooling down and freezing are two different things.
Yes.
You're going to cool them down to what? 65, 60,
yes.
65. So yeah.
Yeah, that doesn't bother me.
And that just means at night, turn off your heat. And then your house temperature should drop down to that at night.
Oh, yeah, because our house is always cold.
Yeah. So you'll be good. Just turn off the heat at night and then turn the heat on 8 hours during the day. And you'll be good. And that should be fine. That's what he was talking about. That's what you do with when you're cooling your stuff down, right? You're just turning the heat off at night, Jason?
Yeah. Radiant heat panels get turned off by the thermostat. It's just on a timer, basically. So whatever.
I need to go get some timers.
12 hours with it off and 12 hours with it on.
You don't need timers if you buy a Herpstat.
Okay, are you going to buy it for me?
No, I'm not going to buy you. I'm just saying if you had one.
Say, isn't that on your list too?
Well, I've got 4 of them, but I can always use more.
Yeah.
I was like, I need more.
Everyone always needs more thermostats.
Yeah.
I've never heard someone go, "Oh man, I got too many thermostats."
Never have enough of.
Yeah, that's ever.
we have a new listener. Could be a first-time listener.
My dad, this would be great.
Well, I added him because I saw that he popped up on the like approval list to join the group, and I'm like, this will be fun.
That's fine. We
So
can,
yeah.
we can ignore that listener. So, anyways, going on.
Well, what
Chris-
he said, for those of you that may be curious, he said we could do the same in our house because he refers to our house as an ice box when he comes to visit.
he gets cold in a breeze. It doesn't have to be cold outside.
He says we freeze him out. I always make sure there's extra blankets on the spare bed when he comes to visit.
I tell people come into my house, bring a jacket because
Yes.
I'm not turning my AC.
That's what I tell my
make
students
it
in my
over.
classroom. They're like, Miss Lewis, it's cold. Turn off the fan. I'm like, shut up. I'm hot. I'm the one teaching. Put
That's
on a
what-
jacket.
That's what. Okay, so wait, Jason, do you do any ambient temps in your snake room, or is it all individually heated?
No, I am all 100% individual heat. I'm a fat dude.
Yes.
My snake room's like 72. I like it comfortable for me because I know I'm not going to clean if it's like
Fuck
80
yeah.
degrees in there. I'm not
Mhm.
going in there.
I love it.
You know, y'all can have that shit.
I see
Oh,
folks that are like,
God.
I have an ambient heated snake room. I'm like, well, you're a fucking monster.
Yeah, no, not me. Now we don't let our snake room get colder than
No, but
75.
But all the heating elements in a snake room normally keep it
Yeah.
warmer.
Is your air vent even open in there?
Yeah, because I got to work in there.
Oh, I didn't know if like you opened it when you were working and then closed it.
No,
when
I'll
you-
leave it open.
Our
Doesn't get that cold.
kid closes the air vent in her room. And so I'll like open the door and it
No,
he
she
like
has me close it.
slaps. No, she figured out how to climb to close it herself.
Oh, great.
It like slapped me in the face the other day. I was like, why is it so hot in your room? What is wrong?
I just can't do ambient. I'm like Jason. I'm fat, and if I'm sweating my ass off, then I'd get one cage in and be like, all right, I'm done.
Exactly. Yeah, I
And I'm
can't
out.
work in the hot.
Ugh.
I just leave the door open and kind of block it off from the dogs or cats coming in.
Mm-hmm.
Chris Sexton said he's also looking forward to giving carpets a real try this year. Carpets are popular this year. Our buddy Seth.
They must not live in Louisiana. Sorry,
Oh,
too soon.
Fuck you.
Too soon.
Don't fucking sell those things in Louisiana without a permit. Our buddy Seth over at Huff's Herps said more of these, and he posted a picture of a striped A-male patty African fur, African fat tail. Fucking, it's all the same letters. African fat tails. Once developed, it's bright orange
They're really pretty.
with a solid white stripe from nose to tail. That's cool.
He has some very pretty. fat
He
tails.
really does.
John Feely, I don't know if he's still here, said all the ball pythons. I don't believe that. Brian Hayes says picking up an unsexed pair of chondros later tonight. Fingers crossed, at least one ends up being a female. See, that's that green tree shit that I couldn't do. I couldn't buy a $600, $700, $800, $2,000 snake and be like, I hope it's a female.
Yeah, I gotta know.
Me
That's
too.
why. That's
Like, how many times has that happened to you, Jason, where you've been like, oh man, I really hope this is a female and it's fucking male, or vice versa?
Well, that's how I ended up with the sausage fest that I've been in for so many years. Because I bought all of mine I bought most of mine as unchanged, unsexed neos, with the exception of two that I bought as females, neither of which are females. I ended up, fortunately, the very first chondro I ever bought ended up being a female. And then I had the next 7 were all males.
Ugh,
Oh god.
damn.
that's too many penises.
It's like the ball
Yeah.
pythons you inherited.
Well, no, I inherited those ball pythons. He bought them knowing they were males. There's a difference.
No, he
Like-
bought them not knowing what they were.
No. Ball
Oh.
pythons. Ball pythons. He 100% knew what they were. He just saw a ball python and went,
Oh.
"This is pretty," and then bought it and kept doing that. And ended
Oh.
up with like 15.
I thought you were
males.
talking about Jason. I was like, no, he just bought
No,
them. He
Jason
didn't know
just-
what they
yeah,
were.
no, Jason's in green trees. That's like, you remember when you
No, but you have like only one female.
do you remember when Dollar Tree used to have those $1 paper bags for boys or girls?
I do. It was a mystery
It was
bag,
a
and
mystery
you didn't
bag.
know what was.
You didn't
in
know what
it.
was gonna be in it. That's how Jason does when he
I
buys
feel like
green
we
trees.
just seriously aged ourselves.
I also just realized they don't do that anymore.
No, they don't.
That's a shame. Jason, do you remember that?
Jason might be older than us.
I can't say that I do.
Dollar Tree used to have, you go in and they had blue bags and pink bags,
I know exactly
remember.
what you're talking about.
and you paid $1 and you didn't know what was in it.
Mm.
And then you opened it, and I mean, it was shit because it was from the Dollar Tree.
You had toys.
But that was definitely a way for parents to be like, yeah, no, just go get this. And then I feel like that's what you do when you buy a chondro. You're like, all right, it could be a boy or a
Aren't
girl.
you not
except-
supposed to assume genders anymore?
Yeah,
though?
that's true.
Then maybe that's why they don't do it anymore.
There you go.
We don't want to offend anybody. God forbid.
Maybe those males can
Lord.
breed as females if they assume they're females.
Yes.
Let us know how that works out.
Just
Give us a hint.
Just wait. Give
I
them time.
imagine it's been tried.
Oh my god. Moving on.
Our buddy Megan locally, she says she's not producing anything, but she's hoping for a successful clutch. I'd say litter, but litter of BCIs from Elise Lago from E Square. So let's hope we get that.
I guess she must be on a list for that.
I guess. And Kevin Vonderleep, I still ruin his name every time. Says I'm hoping to pick up a Hog Island boa or two. Our buddy Jason Miloradovich just picked up a couple of Hog Island boas. I like Hog Island boas. I don't have any right now, but I do like them. I had one. He was awesome. He was pretty. Actually, he, oddly enough, was supposed to be a she.
Mm-hmm.
That was one of my.
I do remember the snake now. I'm like in my head. I'm like that sounds familiar.
Yeah,
I feel like we've had one in our house before.
Yes. Yeah. He was supposed to be a she. The guy wouldn't haggle on the price at all. This was way back when that was kind of the accepted thing. Wouldn't go down at all because that was back when like boys and girls were different prices.
Yeah.
And I was like, okay, so I bought it as a she, and she never got big and thick. She stayed small and slender. And then I was finally, as I got older, I knew how to do. And this is way early. This was like my third or fourth snake. But as I got through, I was like, let me probe this thing. And yep, it had fucking hemipenes. So that sucked. But Hog Islands are pretty. I love those. Those are great bow. They change color from night to day.
Mm-hmm.
And they always look like shit whenever you want to show them to people.
I had to look it up.
You've never seen a Hog Island? They're freckled.
I had, but I was making
yeah.
sure I was associating the right snake with.
The problem is there's a lot of shit looking
It's the
ones, and
freckles.
there's some really pretty looking ones.
Yours had a lot of pink, didn't it?
Yeah, and it had big freckles. It wasn't covered in
The
freckles.
little dot.
And but they change color from night to day. They're naturally hypo, and like I said, they always look like shit whenever you want to show them to people. It's like whenever you want to show something to somebody that's always in shed. Every time I'm like, oh man, I want to show my rainbow boa, and it's in shed.
Our leopard gecko shed last night while we weren't at school. My kids were so excited this morning. They came in and look at her. She looks so cool. I'm like, yep, she ate all of her skin.
Look
Moving
at
on.
her. She looks like a leopard gecko.
They were excited because they freaked out yesterday because she was solid white. And they were like, what's wrong with Velma?
She's gonna die.
She's just shedding. It'll be fine, guys. Move on.
Oh.
Anyways.
So what's the next show you're doing, Jason? Conroe?
Right. Yeah, I think Conroe probably end of January.
January 29th, 30th. My birthday's on the 28th.
Right now, like I ended up selling out the last of my available animals at the last show we were at.
It's unfortunate.
So
I hate it for you.
I have like 5 clutches in the incubator that are, late clutches. So those will be hatching between now and the end of the year or so.
I'm sure everybody struggling right now to sell their stuff hates it for you that you sold out of all your stuff. That's just horrible.
Good for you.
I was
Jason.
down
feel
to the
for you.
last few animals as is because it's been a weird year.
Yes.
The storm really kind of killed my season or made it just weird.
I
It
think that's
definitely-
it for a lot of people.
Yeah, it definitely made it weird. I haven't even paired yet.
I haven't thought about so I'll go ahead and mention I had an unfortunate thing happen. So I have a sungla boa I've talked about before. She about 2 years ago now.
She was Frankenboa.
She had surgery to remove a mass on her nose, $1,000 surgery. That unfortunately, and people get upset because I talk about money here, but she passed away the other day. It was very weird. I talked about getting mites. She was the first one I noticed mites on. We treated her. About 2 weeks into it, went in to go treat her one day, and I've been hands-on with her every day for 2 weeks. And all of a sudden, she had a massive swollen, looked like a giant ovulation out of nowhere, rock hard, and it just never went away. And the other day, walked in, found her dead. So that sucks. That was
Yes.
one of the unfortunate sides of everything. So like I haven't really between that, losing another sand boa because of stuck ovums. They just never came out and they stayed in and they rotted and they went bad and couldn't get them out. Tried everything I could. Losing that one. Having another sand boa this year that I think still has one inside of her, but she's eating and she's fine right now. We'll see what happens. I haven't even thought about pairing shit together. I just like fuck it. This season may be a wash. I'm not sure I'm going to pair anything.
But that happens though, because you've been doing this for a really long time and it's like a cycle, like every so many years
Shit happens.
it does. And it's not because you've done anything wrong. It's just I feel like that's just a cycle with
It's a
life.
cycle
Like
of
I
life.
feel like everyone probably goes through this, but no one's willing to talk about it.
One with this past year, also I lost my rainbow boa, my male that I'd had, my first snake. He died. It just, and then the move, and again everything settled with the move, and then having mites for the first time in my collection ever since I had one snake and tried to keep it in the college dorms. This year's been rough, so I'm like, we'll try again next year. I've got a litter of rainbow boas that I've pretty much said that I probably won't sell for a year. I'm going to keep them for about a year, raise them up, find out which ones are the prettiest, keep them, and then I'll just sell yearling rainbow boas in a year. And I've got all these sand boas that at some fucking point I'll sell, but I'm not in a hurry to sell them either. I don't know. It's rough. So I'm sure everyone out there, if you breed long, and they always say the worst possible thing you can do for your animal ever is breed them, because you're definitely going to risk them dying. But everybody, if you keep snakes long enough, you'll go through a shit period, and it's just a matter of don't be the one that goes through that shit period and then gets rid of everything, because you see that too. Someone will have one or two negative things happen. They're like, all right, I'm selling it all. I'm like, all right, well then you probably weren't supposed to be in the hobby anyways.
True.
So
Yeah, for sure. Absolutely. It's definitely cyclical. One year you may have a crap year, but the next year may be the best year you ever had.
yes,
Exactly.
Just, if you stick with it, you'll be fine. It'll all even out in the long run. Just play the long game.
oh man. So our listener, our buddy Victor said he lost 5 clutches this season,
Ugh.
and then he also sold one of his ball pythons to a guy who eventually killed it in a couple of weeks ago.
That's rough.
That's awful.
That's another
That
thing.
happens.
Like it really sucks when you sell something and you later on find out that it died, and like you start to think, man, if I'd have kept that thing, would still be alive.
Mm-hmm.
So that is rough. Sorry, Victor. That's tough, man. But anyways, on a brighter note, let's look at some things that have happened over on our discussion group. We had some pretty cool stuff. There was a really weird tarantula with a fungus. It looked like I don't know. It's weird to explain. It's this fungus.
Throw it up on the
the.
screen. You can do that.
I can do that.
I mean, if they're just listening and not watching, then they're not going to be able to do anything.
They can go over to.
but-
I gotta get rid of this. Hold
I
on.
was like, go on over to the Reptile Gumbo podcast discussion group.
Nope.
There's a many things.
I discovered a fun TV show today.
What TV show?
So on my lunch break, since I'm by myself, I like to watch TV.
You like to move it, move it.
And I was on Disney Plus, and they have a cartoon called Amphibia. And it's about a girl, because I watched the first episode today. It's about a girl who gets shrunk down and transported into the world of basically frogs. And it's a cartoon, and she's stuck in miniature form in Frogland. And her new best friend is a little frog, and it has a tadpole sibling, and their old frog grandpa. And it's funny because like it was like I teach 3rd grade. Like it's definitely something my 3rd graders would watch. But it was cool because it talked about like the mucus on their hands. Like it was pretty cool.
At least you didn't get stuck in like African bullfrogs during mating season when they grab each other and throw each other across the thing.
Yes, but the episodes are all like puns to do with frog stuff, which I find funny.
It's very funny.
But anyways,
I'm gonna have to
Disney
send that to
Plus,
my little cousin.
Disney Plus, Amphibia. It looks pretty. I enjoyed it. It was a fun way to spend
So
my
for
lunch.
any of you out there that partake in stuff that makes you think outside the box, do that and then watch the cartoons. It'll be fun.
Yeah, I guess so.
So there's
I mean,
the funky. That's
might
a
be weird for
tarantula.
them.
Anybody that's watching, or if you go over to the thing, that's the tarantula growing a weird ass fungus out of it.
That is crazy.
Parasitic fungus.
It doesn't look real.
Yeah, it looks weird.
No, not at all.
Then the Los Angeles Zoo hatched Mengshan mountain vipers, which is kind of cool.
Those are awesome.
U.S. Marine Corps. I didn't read this. There's for some reason I'm not getting the alerts when people post things like I'm supposed to. But if you're fortunate enough to spend time in the ocean, yeah, I'm trying to read this as I go there. Oh, it's like baby turtles.
Yeah, it was a Marine Corps.
Did you read it?
I actually did read that
Then why
one
don't you chime in? Just let me stand here and
because it was kind of fun to watch
Thanks a lot.
you
Flounder.
kind of flounder. Yeah. So basically, it's a group of Marine Corps that are stationed there on the beach, and they're helping sea turtles make it back out to the ocean, and they're guarding the beach and keeping them safe from poachers.
Could you imagine getting shot
Awesome.
because you walked on top of a baby sea turtle?
Yeah.
Just they shoot you in the head, right?
The Marine Corps, like they're not those. Like the guys are really excited. The ones that they interviewed, it was cool. I liked it.
They found 300. So that was positive. Hundreds of sea turtles washed up dead in Mexico
Oh yeah,
on the
Oh,
Pacific
wow.
coast. So that sucks. Oh, this is a new one. This was Robert. Robert had a customer
Yes.
who wanted to. He had.
We'll start this by we've had several people
Yes.
ask us something about this, but somebody actually came and spent time with him
To design
and
it.
we got it designed.
Because I know we've talked about, we got some other ideas from other things at some point that we'd like to try. But for hot keepers that keep their stuff in racks, they wanted a way to lock up the rack to keep it safe. And they designed a plexiglass door with vent holes in it that he could latch shut and keep it safe because he had kids. And he wanted to be able to lock away his stuff and keep his kids safe, which is really, really cool. So if you're looking for something like that, contact Robert. Get something set up. I posted this, the Crap Brothers. So it depends on what age you are, I realized, because like I posted this and the one person said they loved Zaboomafoo, and that's when I
Yeah.
realized they're younger than me.
I
Because
was about to say it depends on, or like they may not be the Kratz brothers. It may be Kratz creatures.
well, Kratz Creatures was the original,
Mhm.
and then Zaboomafoo came along with the stupid like lemur puppet jumping around.
And now
And
now
when our kid was little,
it was Wild Kratz,
it was Wildcrat.
which is animated.
But the two brothers have done nature shows since the late 90s.
So say, let's age me really quick. I know all of what they
I was
put
going to
on.
say, yeah, I know. all three.
since the late 90s on PBS, and it's been amazing. But the Kratz Brothers Creature Hero Foundation is committed to empowering kids and their families, and they bought some land. They were in the process of trying to buy land for conserving nature and stuff. I just thought it was really cool.
That's awesome.
I loved them. They were big. It was them, Steve Irwin, Jeff Corwin, all of that.
Logan loved Wildcrat, so it was one of his favorite things. Lily
This-
liked Zaboomafoo.
So this is a messed up thing.
We had a Wild Kratz. Joe had a Wild Kratz birthday when she was 4.
That's awesome.
Like, because I'm extra, I made the creature vests, and they all had discs that went in. It was at the zoo. They went like around to collect discs when they learned about the animals. Like,
That's incredibly awesome.
Yes, because we can't just have a birthday party. It became
No.
an educational lesson.
oh, it totally
Why
did.
not? That was the best thing
We also-
ever.
Yeah, it's
It was good.
yeah.
Kids learn about animals.
The parents had a great time.
So this was messed up, and I saw this posted on several things. Tom Crutchfield had someone break in,
Oh my gosh.
broke the locks on 20 cages. They killed their blue tree monitor and left it dead, thrown in the yard.
Oh.
I don't know if they have found it, but they had a croc monitor get out that's missing. They've had Dominican red mountain boas, several things missing, which really, really sucked. Some of the pictures are horrifying to know that someone came in. That's another. If you have your animals outside, you got to be very careful. Now, someone like Jason living in the middle of nowhere, be a little easier. I can't imagine people are going to wander up in your yard, Jason, and mess with anything.
If they do, they came on purpose.
Well, if they do, he can make sure no one ever knows that they wandered on the yard.
Yeah, we have places to hide those bodies.
Note to self: make good friends with
Great.
Jason.
We're hiding stuff at Jason's yard. Got it.
Sold.
But yeah, so the
We were just talking about that the other day too.
I told
Rachel
Katie
and
we
I
could
were-
make it work.
What?
I told Katie that
I
if she
told
had
her.
to kill her husband like she was planning this.
I was like, I
we
bet
could
we
get the
know
body
people.
gone.
I said, I bet we know enough people with the Herbst family. We can find somebody with property.
Apparently, you were in trouble that day, James.
Well, there's not enough money, so she's not gonna kill me. It's not
so
worth
funny. No.
it. There was a Nathan posted this cool picture of a male fan-throated lizard, which is just like a fancier version of a green anole with
It's
a big
so
old
pretty
It's so
though.
pretty.
So pretty. That's what they were aiming for, to be super pretty.
That was your picture.
That was just our post. This thing.
Oh. I
Uh,
was like, I know that picture.
so that was the happenings on our Facebook page, which reminded me that again I want to bring up. If anybody wants to sponsor a giveaway for this month, what?
I had an offer. Maybe we should make a poll
No.
and let our listeners
If
decide
anybody else
if
wants to,
my idea is good.
hey, look, I can make it quiet. Nobody can hear.
I can talk louder.
As I say, we can still hear.
Anyways, if anybody would like to be, and this is not just for this month, if anybody would like to be a sponsor for the podcast, again, we like to give away stuff every month, and it doesn't have to be anything huge. We've given away a catchy.
Apparently, it has to be bigger than what I suggested. My stuff was not
Do you want to go ahead and tell
quality
everybody what you suggested?
enough. Yes, I did. I suggested, because I am a crafter, and I suggested that I could make microwavable bowl holders in reptile printed fabric, or rice bags, which can be heated or frozen.
Rice bags, please.
And those could be given away. And we could give those away. It doesn't have to be anything big. It doesn't have to be anything crazy. And if you think about it, whoever wins it could turn around and give it away as a Christmas gift to somebody else in the next month.
So you're saying whoever wins it's not going to like get enough to keep it that they would just give it away?
No, they could keep it, or they could re-gift it.
You're already planning for the thing that
Look,
you want to give away to
I'm
be
all
re-gifted?
about re-gifting. Okay. And these things make great gifts. And
They're pretty awesome.
I don't mind.
Anyways, if anybody, and it's again, it's not
Asshole.
just for this month. If anybody would like to
I'm
sponsor
closest. Do you want me to pinch
a
it?
sponsor a giveaway on here.
See,
let us
Victor
know.
says it's nice.
Victor's nice about everything. Stop that. Let us know. Shoot us a message. Tell us, hey, I want to sponsor, and we'll figure out what you can do. It doesn't have to be big. Again, one time we gave away a catchy, which was awesome. Everybody should have a catchy in their snake room
Or multiple.
or multiples. We've given away just some hooks. What else did we give away? A thermostat. That was the grants give away a thermostat, and they did the hooks. So feel free if anybody wants to do it, and then you get a whole month. We'll plug your business and all that stuff too. Give away Reptile Gumbo t-shirts. First,
Yeah,
Darren, we have to
I
get them
gotta
made.
make shirts first.
There's one
It's
Reptile
on the-
Gumbo t-shirt. One. Katie has it. It's the
Chris
only
Eaton
one.
thinks it's a fantastic idea.
Shut the fuck up, Chris.
Bitch. Sorry, I felt like it needed that
Go,
afterwards.
Katie. Kick-ass Katie's coming out
Sorry.
tonight, guys. Let's
Writing
get
lesson
wild.
plans, man. I gotta have excitement somewhere in my life, because fairy tales aren't cutting it right now.
Anyway,
Are you doing the good ones? The Grimm's ones are the other ones.
No, we're doing not the
The old original things that aren't any good. Not
Yeah,
the good
pretty much.
Grimm's. Yeah.
It's okay though. Anyways, Darren, we are working on Reptile Gumbo t-shirts. It's on my list.
She says working. Working.
It's
in
a
the fact
really
that-
long list.
Working in the fact that we
Katie,
mentioned
do you
it
need
once.
some help with that?
Well, I mean, if somebody else would start doing more stuff around the house, I could get more stuff knocked off my list.
I haven't done it in 16, 17, 18. How long have we been together? I think it's right now.
So sad.
Anyways, back to our guest. So I started last week. I asked our guest questions, and I wanted to ask questions each week, and I may add some more, but I wanted to ask questions that are hobby related. So, Jason, here you go. You're going to get some questions. Ready?
Ready or
Go
not?
for it.
What is the best advice you have been given in the hobby?
Learn to read your animals. Become a student of the serpent.
But I don't like
The
reading.
old, that's I just once you I think there's something to say about spending time in your snake room and learning how to read your animals.
Mhm.
You can pretty much tell what they'll tell you what they need if you listen.
Yes.
I agree.
100%.
Definitely. One thing, just definitely go into your snake room. It's very easy to, and I've done it lately because we've been so busy, and because I was watching the Braves beat the Astros. But definitely go into your snake room often, and every time you go in there, do something. I think you should go in there and do something. But all right, this one's a little harder. What's the worst advice you've been given?
Mm,
The thing where you're like, yeah, I'm not going to do that.
probably feeding schedules.
Yes, they don't have to eat
You know,
every Monday.
Yep, your snake needs to eat a medium rat every Wednesday at 6:30 p.m.
So
or it's gonna die.
Yet they do not know the days of the week,
No,
guys.
I'm more of a feed sparingly.
My snakes know the days of the week. I have a Brittany Gobble calendar back here, and my snakes read that, and they know what days they're supposed to eat.
That's funny. So do
Exactly.
snakes, and the reason I say this is we have a bearded dragon and a leopard gecko in our classroom.
Those aren't snakes, by the way.
I'm aware of that.
Making sure.
Those are two of our class pets. The leopard gecko has learned that if she comes out from her hide and lays in the food bowl, whoever is the class pet person for the week will come and feed her. So she's trained the children in my classroom on when to feed her. It's very amusing to me because they give in every time. Will snakes do that? Will they just get like more active when they're getting hungry? Like the crested gecko, I've noticed when he's hungry, he starts kind of
Okay.
perusing around
So
the food bowl.
There's a yes and a no to that.
Okay.
All right. So on Facebook, you'll see someone go, My ball python's been moving around a lot. He really wants out of his cage. I think he's hungry.
Yeah, no.
No, that's bullshit.
Okay.
But they will learn like what feeding is. I mean, Jason talked about earlier with his green trees. He goes in there and they start caudal luring. They're looking. They're like, oh, it's feeding time.
I mean, I'm sure they can smell it in the air and stuff like that too.
Well, yeah. I mean, what do you think, Jason?
So that being, because like when you feed, you have like a tray of stuff.
Yeah.
So I know the smell's in the air, so they're going to react to that smell.
Yeah.
I think with certain species, especially the green trees, they'll try to lie to you, period. Like I said, in their mind, they're always starving. So
Sounds
they're
like
always
the blue
trying
beauties.
to tell you that they're starving. They're caudal luring. But however, if you ignore that for an extended period of time, what you'll actually see is when the lights go out, those snakes will actually move, like get off their perch. They'll climb around, and they'll kind of actively hunt. They'll forage around the cage and then come up into a hunting position and get really intense with it. So, and then I'll start thinking about food at that point. But if they're just sitting there in their stationary spot wagging their tail at me, yeah, keep it up.
It's funny. It's kind of like my Brettles. I can tell when she's hungry because if she's just laying around, she's good. But every now and then she'll get into the same hunting stance you'll see a green tree get into. She'll get up on the perch, put her head down, and point at the ground and sit still. And I'm like, oh, she's looking for food. And you can definitely tell that is different than her just like curled up in the corner or just laying on a branch. But she'll definitely do that whole green tree thing too, where she just like S's her head up and points it straight down, like she's waiting for a mouse to come running by.
I mean, the boa tries to eat the glass.
Yeah, no, that boa just doesn't like you.
No, she doesn't really do it to me. She's only done it to me once. She does it to everybody else.
So is that the one that Robert that like hates Robert?
You would.
No, it's
That-
the
is
one
that a
it's the
different
one that
snake?
did it one time to Robert,
Yeah.
and now Robert won't go near it.
Oh, I thought there was one that like came at him every time.
No, that's the blue beauty.
Oh,
Bandit
gotcha.
did that. Yeah, the blue beauty.
That's because they're just defensive in the cage, and once you
Yeah.
get that out, it's good.
But here recently, I can open the opposite end door and just mind my own business. He comes out.
Apparently, the other night, my Mexican black king snake like flipped the fuck out on you the other
Went
night.
to go feed it, shot out of the thing it was in, and just started musking all over the fucking place. I had to catch it in midair before it fell behind our dresser.
Never done that with me when I take her out. Like I'll change her water or I'll take her out to hold her.
Also, didn't eat the live pinky. I've never seen a Mexican black king not eat.
I haven't either.
She totally was like, no, I don't want that.
Are you sure she's not in shed?
No, she
No,
never said-
Okay.
I just thought it was funny. I was like, she's never done that to me.
So, all right. So feeding schedules, I agree. Worst thing, again, you'll see it all the time. The ones that crack me up is my snake eats on Wednesday, and I went to the store and they didn't have any, and they won't get them in till tomorrow. Will she be okay? What the
She's
fuck?
gonna shrivel up and die in 24 hours
24
because you're not gonna feed her.
That one. I always love it. It's
Bless
always,
them.
It's always tomorrow. They'll be able to get food tomorrow, but is she okay tonight?
I'm gonna make a very offensive comment right now.
What's Nick? Go.
Those are the people who are the parents that are like the crazy helicopter parents.
Yes.
No, you could have left it at crazy.
They are. They're the ones that are like, oh my gosh, my kid can't get dirty. And then I'm over here like,
Was
hey,
it-
don't put that in your mouth.
JT told me that he had a customer who was told to feed their Samboa every day.
What?
Yeah. I was like, first of all, that's insanely
No.
expensive. Second, that thing is going to die quick.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. Jason, what is one tip you could give keepers to help them take better care of their animals? Besides, you said be a student of the serpent, but so maybe something that you do in your room that makes it easier for you cleaning, feeding, or whatever.
Like one of the things that I focus on in my collection is trying to make things efficient for me. I know that if I can get in there and clean and be efficient at it, that I'll clean more often and keep things in a better state. So, I do the little tricks, disposable water bowls, things like that, to keep things moving so that, like I said, I can clean through a lot of animals quickly and, take care of my time. That's something that I focus on a lot. And I think it can help if you study where you're spending your time in your snake room a little bit, and
Yeah.
kind of figure out how to figure out and how to shave time and make things flow better and work better, and it makes it a more enjoyable experience to be in there and clean and get things done that you have to do.
Well, and I have found with a lot of people, and myself included, when the room gets cluttered or messy, you're less likely to go in there and work for an hour or 2 hours and clean. Like, you're more likely just to wander in, look at stuff, go, yeah, everything's alive, and then walk out. So if you can keep it organized and clean, it's much easier, I think, just for you to walk in and quickly do something and not feel overwhelmed. I think people get overwhelmed. What?
I want you to take that philosophy because it's beautiful.
I'm not doing the rest of the house. I don't give a shit.
And I want you to apply it to the rest of the house.
Doesn't bother me in the rest of the house. The rest of the house doesn't have 80 animals I have to keep alive.
Only 80
80-ish.
ish. I figured you had a pretty good count after having to go through and touch everything.
I think it's like 80-ish.
In the room. We have stuff in other rooms too, though.
Oh yeah, I know.
I mean, I think it's 80 total. I think we're good. We don't have a ton. All right. Last thing to end it on a positive note here. Positive question. What is one big positive thing you see currently happening in the hobby?
Well, I'm happy to see that there's more diversity coming back in the hobby. Some of the lesser known or lesser appreciated species are starting to make their comebacks. Very happy to see that. Well, I do enjoy ball pythons. It's not the thing I want to look at when I go to a show. So it's nice to see a little bit of diversity, and hopefully we'll continue to see that. Maybe some focus on some other species, and we get more captive bred stuff into the hobby. Keep it moving forward.
So it's funny. So you talked about shows, and I kind of didn't bring it up earlier. So we talked about you bring ball pythons to shows, and I've seen you bring the not Brettles. My brain's went blank. The bumpy pythons and Golans to shows. You never have green trees at shows. I'm assuming they're all sold before it ever happens.
Pretty much, yeah. I don't think I've ever even actually posted an ad for a green tree python. I just kind of whisper into the ether that I'm gonna think about letting go of a green tree python, and then magically my inbox blows up.
Now that I think about it, I don't think I've been to a show where I've seen captive bred green trees for sale. Not other than maybe Tinley or Daytona. Like the smaller shows, if you've ever seen them, it's only wild caught one here or there on a seller's table, not on a breeder's table. So I guess you don't see a lot of captive bred green trees for sale. They're out there. They're obviously being born or hatched and all, but everyone's getting to them before they ever make it to a show, which I guess is a good problem to have because you don't want to put that animal. That's also unnecessary stress on an animal that stresses easy.
Yes.
Yeah, that's the other downside. It's hard to take your, even if you're doing locality pairings, to take your $1,000 captive bred yacht to a show when you're going to be sitting next to a flipper who's got yachts for whatever, 300 imported fresh.
Yeah.
So, it's a tough sell at shows. The people that want the captive bred and know they're going directly to the breeders anyway, and they probably don't want an animal that's been to a show next to a imported yacht.
Yeah, that's one of those animals. I mean, I'm a big proponent for captive bred animals in general. There are situations where obviously wild caught stuff is necessary, but there's certain things no one probably needs a wild caught ball python of any sort. I don't even know if they're still importing them at all anymore. But green trees, they do import them, but that's one if you really want a green tree python, captive bred is the way to 100% go. You can definitely get them for cheap.
If you're a new, now there are a handful of good importers who are importing animals and establishing them and providing aftercare support. And, like I said, there's a handful of people that do that very well, and there's nothing against those animals. You can go through that process. You just have to know going into the process that there's going to be extra steps with an imported animal versus a captive born and new, start with a captive born and bred and have a good mentor to get started. And then, later on, as you got some experience, you can seek out one of these good vendors and get an import if you want fresh bloodlines or things like that. You have to treat it differently and approach it differently. But there's always going to be a place for wild caught bud, and as long as we can get it, we should, just to keep the bloodlines fresh in our within our country, because you never know when they'll shut that down and then our bloodlines are all closed.
Well, yeah, especially when you're dealing with
We
some
lose
stuff
that diversity.
well, like when you're dealing with animals that come out of Australia, are not come out of Australia at this point. So yeah, all your green trees are going to be non-Australian green trees.
Right. Yeah. As far as I know, there's not any Australian green trees here. They're all from Indo. Maybe zoos. I don't know. But
Yeah. Crazy. Oh, have anything else? Anything else?
I actually do have something else.
Uh-oh.
I would like to challenge our listeners to locate any non-fiction, child-appropriate, animal-related books and share them with us, because I start teaching non-fiction the week after Thanksgiving. Yay.
You have fun with that.
Fun.
Yeah.
So-
Informational text is tricky because if you don't find things that your kids are interested in, then they don't give a crap. And lucky for me, my kids are super interested and fascinated in animals. So I have a handful that I know I'm going to pull. The problem is the way that it works, I won't use the same book for the whole unit. We will actually, I will read them a story or read them parts of the book, and then I'll teach a certain element to go with nonfiction. And then I'll pull information from another book. So I'm exposing them to multiple things.
So when you say nonfiction, because I've got some nonfiction like snake books up here.
It just needs to be kid appropriate.
Some of them are kid books.
Yeah.
So you just any nonfiction kid appropriate book.
Pretty much. Like if you are into welding and you know something and you've seen a book on welding for kids.
That's not so
I don't even care if it's animal related at this point.
Then that's any book. They
Yeah.
literally send you
Nonfiction, informational. Although animals are preferred because that's what my kids like.
Okay.
Yay.
Is that it?
There you go.
Yeah, pretty much.
I also want to, and I mentioned last week, but I also want to push for our Patreon. I know that I need to post it and we talk about our Patreon more. We don't really do anything extra for our Patreon listeners yet. I would like to get there. Maybe when we have t-shirts, we'll send t-shirts to Patreon.
I'll move it up on the list.
But I do want to get I want to get some more cameras for in here. We're teachers, we can't really afford more cameras.
Eric Carl actually falls under fiction books, but yes, we have read a few of his.
So check out again, and like I said, it doesn't have to. Let me restate this. When it comes to the Patreon, I really think all of the podcasters. I know many people that listen to this podcast listen to several other reptile podcasters. If you listen to them, and they have most of them have Patreon, join it. It's just like $3 a month or whatever it is. Again, like I said before, you're already paying for HBO and DirecTV and internet and satellite, everything else to be able to watch your Hulu and all that, to watch stuff, to be entertained. And many of you are on your drive to work or listening to a podcast. Give them $3, give them $5 a month, whatever it is. That little bit honestly does help. And it can honestly help us on months when we don't have someone for giveaway. We can sponsor a bigger giveaway for folks. It doesn't have to be a microwave bowl holder. But
Hey, the next time your ice cream bowl is cold and you want a bowl holder, I'm going to say, fuck you, and you can't have it.
Go, Katie.
Or I'm going to let your tomato soup bowl burn your hand.
Lesson of the night, James, quit being a dick.
I'm not worried at all. Anyways, so check out our Patreon, please. It's like the lowest tier is like $3 a month. You won't miss $3, but you lose $3 a month in your car and change. So $3 a month will definitely help. And we'll be able to do more. Like, so we're going to the Herps show or Herps store grand opening. I plan on taking all of our recording stuff. I'll probably take our little camera. We may record it, put that stuff on YouTube, but I would like to have other cameras. I got this nice, awesome little camera, like switchboard here, and I only have one camera to use on it right now. So help me out, guys. And I also got plans for some other podcasts coming.
Yes.
So we got to get started on that. but we have some plans for other things that aren't actually in the hobby right now. So we're doing something a little different. But yes, help us out if you can. Jason, if people want to get a hold of you, even though you don't have anything currently available because you sold it all, because that's such a horrible problem to have, how can they get a hold of you in the middle of nowhere?
I am on Facebook and Instagram under Brumley Reptile on both of them. I'm also Jason Brumley on Facebook. You could find me. Anyway, that's the best way to get a hold of me is message me through one of those avenues. And if you like to talk pythons, I'm happy to do so.
You know what, we didn't talk about kayak fishing at all.
We'll have to do. You're just gonna have to come up here.
Yes.
You know, when you get a chance, and we'll put you on some bass out here in the middle of nowhere.
I got to get my kayaks. They are currently in Louisiana, but I got to get them over here, and then I also got to get a fishing license at some point.
Not that far.
Fishing license is easy. I have an extra kayak, so you know, if you can make it up here, I can put you in the water. So
the problem with the fishing license is easy if you live here for 6 months.
I was gonna say you have a few more months.
If you don't live here for 6 months, it's not fucking easy at all, and it's expensive. Even though I currently live here and my tax money is coming out of my paycheck for the state.
You can get one in January.
So for my birthday, I can finally get a fishing license.
Yes.
Which means I can finally get a hunting license, which means I can legally pick a snake up off the road.
Yes.
Woo!
I'm about to go get my hunting license.
Because I have not picked up any snakes off the road in Texas.
Just looked at them.
We've only looked.
Of course not.
Only looked at them from a distance farther than I could pick them up from.
Right.
Yes.
I witnessed it. It's true.
Sounds believable, right?
Somebody knocks on our door, I'm totally letting them take you.
I didn't. Well, that's what we've talked about before, where people have gone out west and they realized that they would rather write you a ticket for picking a snake up off the road and moving it off the road than actually save the animal. Like they'd much rather give you a ticket than go, oh no, that's cool. You saved that animal. That's great. That's how the Texas parks works here. We gotta make money. We don't actually give a shit about the snake.
Pretty much.
Which is fucked up. Anyways, small soapbox. So yes, reach out to Jason. We will have a giveaway by the end of the week posted for this month. We'll see what we're giving away. We may give away ball holders and.
Oh no, you don't get those anymore. They're off the table.
Look, Victor said he wants to win them. He liked the idea.
Chris Eaton might get them.
Chris
for
Eaton's
Christmas.
not even going to enter. Chris Eaton didn't get anything.
Don't be hating on him.
I was gonna say, be nice to Chris.
Chris Eaton doesn't even know what time of year it is up there because he hasn't even been outside in 3 months. So if you want to get a hold of us, is the Reptile Gumbo podcast on Instagram, Facebook, and at gmail.com. For me, it is simply_serpents on Instagram and simply serpents on Facebook.
Don't forget, if you want to order a rack, go to ellisreptileracks.com.
So much fun to do. It's not as much fun when he's not here.
I was about to say, he's not here to give you the look.
Also, just one time for everybody. Oh
my God.
Go Braves. I relived my childhood last night while watching the Braves. I felt like a little 10-year-old kid. It was.
Your 10-year-old had a good time with you too. That was pretty great to watch.
It was amazing. So I had to throw that out there. But that's all I got this week. Next week, we're on Wednesday again. We will get back to Tuesdays at some point.
I may or may not be here Wednesday. If our end of the year softball party is on Wednesday, then I obviously have to take our kid to that.
At some point, we'll have an actual regular schedule again. With
no, we won't. Let's be real.
No, we won't. Fuck it.
Oh, come on. Y'all know y'all like me to step in every now and again.
You're going to be busy soon.
Yes, but not that busy.
But come out and see us this weekend in Lafayette. You should make a trip to Lafayette just so you can eat really good food because I'm looking forward to red beans and rice. Gina's going to be making red beans and rice and gumbo. So I'll be eating that there. And then we go to Prejean's and I'm going to get crawfish enchiladas, some red beans and rice. And then I'm going to pick up some Billy's Boudin balls to bring back with us. So I have Boudin balls here. Those of you who have no idea what those food items are, I feel sorry for you.
I was like, I'm sorry.
And you live in a state that has shitty food. I can't help you. But if you haven't had a cream cheese filled Boudin ball, your life is incomplete.
Shitty food. There's a lot of great food around here.
There's not a lot of great food around here.
There is. You just don't.
You're 20 minutes from Houston where there's all sorts of amazing things to eat.
You are one of the pickiest eaters ever.
Yes.
Yeah. That's why I want cream cheese filled boudin
Oh
balls.
my God.
Anyways, Jason, thank you for being on here. We're gonna go actually find dinner.
Yes.
Jason, hold on for a little bit. Thanks everybody for listening, and good night.